I've been asked about 1,000,000 times to show pictures of Skitty. So there's Skitty, owning the bed. She's got to eat on the bed. If we could put the water on the bed, she would most certainly like that as well. It's a little stray we picked up. She was pretty starving. The first time I met her, I was trying to catch a raccoon in the live trap, and I ended up catching her, so I let her go. She came back shortly thereafter, I don't know, a day or two. This is when we were cooking outside. We had a bucket of lard sitting on the table. She was up there next to that lard trying to get that lid off. Well, we had a stray that, more of a tomcat, a while back, I don't know, a couple of years ago, before we had her, and we bought some cat food, so we had some cat food left over. We fed it to her, and she's never left. She stayed outside all summer, that first summer, but the first cold day got below freezing. She was outside, and I picked her up. She hated coming inside. We'd pick her up and bring her inside. She'd meow out the door, wanting to go back inside. So I brought her inside. I sat down to light some firewood, and sure enough, she came to the door to go outside again. She meowed, and within a few seconds, she realized, ooh, it's warm in here. And the thing is, it was like 62 degrees in here. So it wasn't that warm, but she ran off underneath the bed. And now she opens the door by herself. She is a well-trained cat. I've never seen a cat so well-trained. But she can go outside by herself as long as the big door's open. And she has learned that if she grabs the screen on the outside, and she can back up and get the door open too. She learned that all by herself. I had to show her how to open the door from the inside. It wasn't hard. I just put her feet up against the door and pushed it, and she ran out. The only problem is in the summertime, she's very cautious of critters, lizards and bugs and things, so she's got to try to open it 30,000 times to take a glance and make sure there's nothing out here to kill her. So she stole our hearts, robbed us of our hearts. Carolyn needs some water. It's kind of a cloudy day today, and normally I try to fill this bucket up. I keep it full. Well, yesterday she did a bunch of cleaning. She cleaned the chicks, a little thing down the camper. I'm going to show you that here in a minute. Did a bunch of dishes, different things, and used up all the water. Well, today it's cloudy, so I can't fill it with the well. So I'm going to fill it in here, which is fine. It's no big deal. But something occurred to me. The other day I showed you this water heater. And nobody can understand why I leave the battery compartment open. So the battery lights the flame. See, there's a propane hose here. So propane comes in, lights the flame, and then it tells the computer to keep the flame lit until you turn the water off. Well, for some reason that's malfunctioning. It doesn't turn the flame on when the door's closed. Sometimes, other times it does. But it taught us a valuable lesson. Before, when we used it, we would always turn the heat all the way down if we wanted cold water. Well, you're still using propane. Well, I don't know why we didn't think of it before, but if you just open the door, the propane doesn't come in, it doesn't light, it doesn't do anything. So it acts like it's shut off. So we leave this open. So if I turn the water on, you might be able to hear the clicking. So that lit the propane. Well, I can open this up, it shuts off the propane, and now we're just getting cold water. So I'm gonna ask Carolyn if she would shut the water off, because I want to go down and show you the chicks and different things. As you know, I guess I should say, Carolyn's son came to stay with us last spring and summer. So we ran a hose from the IBC tank, just did a little Y splitter at the RV pump so he could have water. Well, of course, we knew it was going to freeze throughout the winter, which was a big concern. If he was going to stay through the winter, that was a big concern. Didn't know what we were going to do. I mean, we could have buried the hose and different things, but I just didn't know how important it was. It was a temporary thing. So when it froze, Carolyn said, just disconnect it. She didn't want it down here anymore. She was using it after he left, but then she didn't want it anymore. So we just filled that bucket up. I might even go over to Walmart and get her a second bucket so she can have all the water she wants on cloudy days. So as you know, we're raising chickens down here. And it's been pretty cold. It's been a really cold spring. I mean, I remember this time a couple years ago, we actually were letting the chickens out in the yard, these little chicks. But we can't do that with these. These are just way too cold. So you can see we put a little net here. We're going to modify this. We're going to put a black thing that we got. This is a little concerning. I don't want them to get caught up in this. But the reason we did this is that one day it got up to 80 degrees and it was pretty hot in here. Their body temperature raised the temperature in there significantly. We was up to 90, almost 100 degrees. So she put this open so she could open this up. So we'll take that down. They're getting quite a bit bigger, you can see, I'm sure. Now, we talked about getting a security camera to monitor these guys. The problem with the security camera is it uses Wi-Fi, and since we're on hotspot, we don't get a lot of hotspot, so we couldn't justify the cost if we lose a bird because something happened. And the reason we were worried about it, come on guys, get down, is we had this tied up with a little piece of string, the light, and it was all tucked away. Well, apparently one of the white chickens here thought it was food or something, and he grabbed it, she grabbed it, get down, and it wrapped around her tongue. Oh, so it happened twice actually. We trimmed it up after the first time, but the second time she did it again. But this second time was pretty bad. So I cut the string off, carried her up to the house, and Carolyn and I did what felt like surgery on that little bitty tongue. Now, for whatever reason, she decided that she was going to let us work on her. She didn't fight too much. She didn't try to close her mouth or anything. She left her mouth open, and we were able to get it off. So we've changed this with some wire. So we were thinking about getting a security camera, but the Wi-Fi just wouldn't work. I know it's what I'm about ready to say is a little cruel. I get it, but they are farm animals. Things happen to farm animals. No matter how hard you try, they will do something to try to kill themselves. But the cost of a chicken is $4, $3, $2, depends on what age you get. One of these little chicks. The cost of running a security camera would probably be $10 a day. It just doesn't make sense. So we'll just risk it, and if we see something like we did, then we'll fix it. But I think we got it mostly solved now. It got a little cold down here last night again, so of course we have this little heater in here right there. That's a little heater, and it keeps them warm. It gets up to about 80, 90 degrees. It was 50 degrees outside, and they huddle up in that and keeps them warm. So we'll close this, that way I don't have to keep chasing them down. And that little heater is only 30 watts, and we're not having any problems running it. Now typically 30 watts, or typically a heater would shut off intermittently, but that stays on non-stop. It's just constantly putting out heat. But it's working. This is Carolyn's concoction for the chicks. She mixes, and chickens, she mixes this up daily and gives it to them. Camper sure has come in handy. Lots of things and uses. So I wanted to show you the last batch of eggs that we got. There's multicolored eggs. Of course, we have Americanas and Brahmas and Buff Orpingtons. So the Americanas make the different colored eggs. Now, this one, for example, is a mixed breed. Frenchie, which was a male, was an Americana. So he would have made a colored egg, but he probably bred with a Buff Orpington, I would have guessed. So we have a mix of Buff Orpington and Americana. So we get this pink looking one. But I like the colored eggs, so much so that that's what we get. The problem with Americanas is, or Easter eggers, whatever you want to call them, is they're very skittish, like our cat Skitty. Very skittish. and they try to run off from you, and they don't want to be petted. Well, Buff Orpingtons and Brahmas, they don't mind you at all. They'll let you touch them. They don't care. So, but we decided that we wanted eggs, and a good quantity of eggs. Buff Orpingtons actually give a good quantity of eggs, and colored eggs, and just different things, more than what we wanted a pet. So we don't worry about it. Now, the other day, I told you we only got 6 eggs. I did this little POV, point of view video. I had the camera on my forehead, and we only got 6 eggs, which was very odd. And I said, well, something must have scared them. Well, I have proof of it now, that something scared them. Somebody asked if it was a snake. Well, I don't think it's a snake. First of all, snakes would only eat 1 egg. They're not going to eat a bunch of eggs. The second of the thing is they'll break the egg. So they'd be evidence that there was egg runoff if a snake got a hold of it. And the third thing is it's pretty likely that the chickens would kill a snake. That's not to say that one of the chickens wouldn't die from it too, but the chickens will kill a snake. We had a serious mouse problem out there a while back. We cleaned up some metal over here, and I guess there was a nest, and they all ran inside there. Within a few days, the chickens had all that taken care of. I saw a rat out there once, and I don't know, 2 or 3 times. Chickens took care of that. So they're pretty aggressive. I mean, you got to realize they are a predator. Chickens are predators. They eat meat and vegetables. They're, my understanding, they're descendants of dinosaurs. So are ducks. If you look at them, and you look at a movie, that's kind of what you see. So anyway, if it's a snake, I'm sure the snake is dead. But whatever it was, something scared them. I got off course a little bit. So, and my proof is, this is what we got out of it. We got a little bit of egg. It's called a fairy egg that gets mixed in with them. And several things can cause a fairy egg. One, they're getting old and they're not producing. Well, this is their 2nd year. So this is the 2nd year they will produce the most eggs that they will ever produce in their entire life. So it can't be that they're too old. Another reason is they're just starting to lay eggs. Their first egg, a lot of times, I mean, we've seen this a lot with new chickens. Their first egg will be like that, which is actually kind of exciting. Oh, they've laid their first little egg. And then the third reason is they got scared while their body was making the egg. So it tried to shut down is what it did. And the reason chickens stop laying eggs when they're scared is they don't want predators eating their eggs. So the body just instinctively shuts down until they're safe again. It takes about a week. I say a week, I don't know, it varies. But a good week is a good time to think that you're going to be without eggs. And I also would imagine it was the severity of the threat. We had dogs down here once, and they stopped for a couple weeks. It was bad. So you will get them. Now, they won't have yolk in it or anything. There's nothing you can do with this egg. It's just fun to take pictures of and talk about. So hearts were stolen and robbed from the cat, and the chicken ripped us off also. I don't know. This is a fun life. There's a lot that, I don't know, gets monotonous. It's not hard work. People say it's hard work. It's not hard work. I just made a video about that yesterday. It's monotonous. And there's things that happen that you just got to be ready for. Small legs. Chicks getting their tongue wrapped around a string that you would have never thought would possible. But things happen. So if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to a video where I was talking about people saying that you just can't be self-sufficient. So I hope I can inspire you to be prepared for the disasters when you're living your dreams. Thanks for watching.